Welcome to our lecture on total quality management. Imagine you are running a highly successful bakery. If the baker uses expired flour, the cashier is rude, or the delivery driver crushes the cake, the customer will never come back. Today, we will learn how to prevent these issues entirely and build a culture of excellence. Now that we understand the importance of preventing mistakes, let us look at what total quality management actually is. It is a comprehensive, organization-wide approach to continuously improving the quality of products, services, and processes. The core idea is that long-term success comes entirely from customer satisfaction. Instead of treating quality as a separate department that only tests finished goods, this philosophy integrates quality into the daily culture. Every department, from human resources to engineering, must work together to eliminate errors. Simply put, it means doing the right things right the first time, every time, with everyone involved. This massive shift in thinking was pioneered by a few brilliant minds known as the quality gurus. W. Edwards Deming introduced his famous 14 points, which argued that broken systems and management, not lazy workers, are the root cause of poor quality. Joseph M. Juran developed the Juran trilogy, which broke quality management down into three clear, actionable steps: quality planning, quality control, and quality improvement. Philip B. Crosby popularized the concept of zero defects, proving that doing things right the first time is always cheaper than paying for fixing mistakes later. Together, they changed how modern businesses operate. To actually implement this philosophy, a company must follow four core principles. First is customer focus, meaning the customer ultimately determines what quality is, so every action must add value for them. Second is total employee involvement, which empowers every worker, from the janitor to the chief executive officer, to identify problems without fear. Third is process-centered thinking, which recognizes that good results only come from well-designed, highly controlled steps. Finally, there is continuous improvement, often called Kaizen, which is the relentless pursuit of small, daily upgrades rather than waiting for massive, expensive breakthroughs. While total quality management is a management philosophy, we must measure its success using numbers. This brings us to the cost of quality framework. It measures exactly how much money a company spends to ensure good quality, plus how much money it loses because of bad quality. By tracking the costs of good quality, which include money spent to prevent and check for errors, against the costs of poor quality, which is money lost when things go wrong internally or externally, managers can see exactly where they need to invest their resources to improve the entire system. This framework leads us to a fundamental equation. The total cost of quality is simply the sum of four specific types of costs. CP stands for prevention costs, which is the money spent on training workers and maintaining machines so defects never happen. CA represents appraisal costs, the money spent on inspecting and testing products. CIF stands for internal failure costs, which is money lost when a defective product is caught inside the factory. Finally, CEF represents external failure costs, the absolute worst type, occurring when a defective product reaches the customer. As management improves, prevention costs increase, but failure costs drop drastically. Before we move on, let us see this with a concrete example. A smartphone manufacturing company wants to evaluate its current quality costs before implementing a new training program. Last month, they spent $20,000 on training and maintenance and $15,000 on testing phones before shipping. However, they had to scrap $30,000 worth of defective phones inside the factory and issued $50,000 in refunds to angry customers. We need to categorize these given expenses to find the total cost of quality for this company. Let us categorize each expense step by step. The money spent on employee training and machine maintenance is an investment to stop defects from happening, so our prevention cost is 20,000. Testing the phones before they are shipped is used to evaluate the product, which represents our appraisal cost of 15,000. Scrapping defective phones before they reach the customer is an internal failure cost of 30,000. Finally, the refunds represent failures that escaped the factory, giving us an external failure cost of 50,000, which is the most damaging to the brand. Now we substitute all four values into our main cost of quality equation. We are adding the costs of good quality, which are prevention and appraisal, to the costs of poor quality, which are internal and external failures. The total cost of quality for the company last month was $115,000. Notice that the vast majority of this money, specifically $80,000, was wasted on failures. This clearly shows that the company desperately needs to adopt better management practices to prevent these costly errors. Now that we have our baseline, let us see the financial impact of continuous improvement. After realizing how much money they were losing, the smartphone company decides to implement a continuous improvement program. They double their prevention budget to $40,000 by hiring better trainers. Because the process is now more reliable, they can reduce their appraisal testing costs to $10,000. The better process causes internal failures to drop to 10,000 and external failures plummet to just 5,000. We need to calculate the new total cost of quality and determine the net savings. We substitute the new values into the equation. The prevention cost has increased, but the appraisal, internal failure, and external failure costs have all decreased significantly. The new total cost of quality is $65,000. To find the total savings, we subtract this new total cost from the original $115,000 calculated previously. The company saved $50,000 in a single month just by shifting their focus from fixing mistakes to preventing them. This perfectly illustrates that the savings from fewer defects will always pay for the cost of better training. This brings us to a crucial visual representation of what we just calculated. Look at this graph. The horizontal axis represents the quality level, or how defect-free the process is. The vertical axis is the cost in dollars. As quality improves, the cost of good quality, shown by the upward solid curve, increases because we are investing in prevention. However, the cost of poor quality, the downward dashed curve, decreases rapidly. The U-shaped curve is the total cost of quality. The lowest point on this curve represents the optimal quality level, where total costs are minimized. Now that we understand the optimal quality level, let us look at its real-world impact. Total quality management is absolutely critical for survival in today's highly competitive global market. Without it, companies waste massive amounts of money fixing avoidable mistakes. The most famous real-world example is Toyota, which used these exact principles to transform from a struggling automaker into the most reliable car company in the world. By empowering every single worker to stop the assembly line if they saw a defect, Toyota eliminated waste. This philosophy proves that quality is not a burden, but the most powerful tool a company has to increase profits. To wrap up, let us review our key takeaways. Total quality management is a cultural shift that makes customer satisfaction and continuous improvement the responsibility of every employee. We learned that focusing heavily on preventing errors is always more profitable than just inspecting for them at the end. The cost of quality framework allows us to track our investments in good processes against the losses from failures. Ultimately, doing things right the first time is the most profitable way to run any organization. You now have a solid understanding of total quality management.